Hi, I'm Cindy Easter from Independence, Missouri. I'd like to speak on Frederick Madison Smith. Frederick Madison Smith is probably best known in the community of Christ as the fourth president prophet of the church. He was the third child of Joseph Smith III and Joseph's second wife, Bertha Madison. FM is probably most noted for his supreme directional control philosophy. Essentially, the concept was solidifying the leadership of the church in the presidency rather than having it be led in different directions by the different apostles in the bishopric. Fred M's grandson, Paul M. Edwards, who is an important figure in his own right, described FM as visionary as well as short-sighted. He was arrogantly monarchical and supremely democratic. He was loved as well as disliked by some. He had a strong concept of Zion. Zion to him was not just a theory, but consisted of a physical here and now presence with streets and playgrounds, as well as places to work and worship. Paul Edwards acknowledged that his grandfather dealt with conflicts between his scientific rational mind and his justification for mystical power and presence. His revelatory statements were carefully worded, but also acknowledged the mind and will of God. FM felt that religious life was to be participated in and not solved. Part of FM's mission was to bring the scientific and mystical together. FM had a rebellious, individualistic streak in him. He earned a 6-week suspension from Graceland College, likely for mimicking the more pious representatives of the church. He was thus thought the responsibility and consequence of heeding his own advice, a trait that would come in handy in his role as prophet president of the church. Paul Edwards told me a story of his grandfather that demonstrates this individualistic streak even in his later years. FM maintained his own blacksmith shop. He loved to work with metal. He took old rusted plowshares and made them into knives for his 9 grandsons. A plowshare is the steel blade that cuts the top layer of grass and dirt so that something can be planted in the then loosened soil beneath. In Isaiah 2:4, it is recorded, they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. It is generally considered that the verse means for humans to stop fighting and live peacefully. As mentioned earlier, FM Smith was really into the practical application of Zionic living. I expect that he was just using what he had to make knives for his grandsons, which would be cherished all their lives. However, I'm going to say that FM knew of the scripture found in Joel 3:10, where it says, beat your plowshares into swords. But his wife, Ruth Lyman Cobb Smith, made him stop at knives for his grandsons. I love this story because it brought humanity to the enigmatic FM Smith, and it put a whole new understanding for me on plowshares and swords. I got this information from Paul M. Edwards' book, The Chief, an Administrative Biography of Fred M. Smith, and from a phone conversation with Paul M. Edwards on March 30th, 2022.